Next, we're gonna bring in our chef Heather to help us make a healthy meal.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna let you two get to cooking.
Fabulous.
Sounds good. So let's move these things and get cooking.
All right, sounds great.
So, Chef Heather, what's on the menu?
Well, today we are going to start off with some turkey quinoa cheddar cheese meatballs.
Sounds good.
And then we're going to make a sweet potato broccoli salad with a peanut sauce. And then for dessert, we're going to do some strawberry pineapple kabobs. So why don't we get started with the turkey quinoa cheddar cheese meatballs, because they're going to take the longest. So if you want to grab a cutting board for us. And we already washed our hands.
Yes.
It's very important to make sure we have clean hands. I wanted to talk a little bit about quinoa. Are you familiar with quinoa at all? Have you ever had it?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, it's a really fabulous grain. It's a whole grain, and it actually has more protein in it than meat does. So it's very high in protein, and it's kind of a superfood. It's very good for you, and it blends really good with other meats. So when we're mixing it with the turkey, which we have here, we have some ground turkey breast. We're just going to mix this up with the quinoa. We have some lovely spices here. We have some green onions, a little bit of garlic, dried oregano, smoked paprika, and we're just going to mix all these things together. So I'm going to open this up. You could also do this with chicken or any sort of different grinding meat. You could do it with bison or buffalo, which is really delicious. So if you want to grab that bowl over there, and we'll just get everything mixed up. First we're going to grate a little bit of our cheddar cheese here. You can also use any other, you could use Swiss cheese. Pepper jack cheese is really fun too if you like little spicy cheese. We've got fun little curls here. And so what we'll do is we'll just put our turkey into our bowl. I did want to mention that this quinoa is already cooked. Quinoa cooks really fast. So that is the good thing about it. It cooks in about 10 minutes. It fluffs up really nice because you can see how nice and fluffy it is. And you put a little bit of salt in it too. So we're just going to put some of that into it.
How do you cook the quinoa?
You really want to rinse the quinoa really well first, because it has this soapy component on it that you want to get off of there. And then you put it in boiling water, cover it, cook it for the 10 minutes, let it sit for just a couple of minutes so it kind of absorbs the rest of the water. You do want to let it cool before you put it into the turkey, because if you put it in hot, it'll cook the turkey a little bit. So we'll just throw our cheddar cheese in here and all these lovely spices that we have. The one thing I always think about too is if you're cooking for little kids, a lot of kids don't like a lot of spice. They don't like garlic or they don't like green things. So you might not want to put the green onions in if you're cooking for little kids, but I think they're great.
Yeah.
So again, with my clean hands, I'm just going to mush everything up here. This is also a fun thing for kids to do too, because they love getting their hands into things that feel all goopy and mushy and mashing it up. So we got our mixture in the bowl here, and what we're going to do is grab our baking dish and put just a little bit of olive oil or vegetable oil on the bottom of the dish to keep everything from sticking. Now the one thing I like to have on hand is a little bowl of water, because what that's going to do, just kind of dip your fingers in there a little bit, it'll keep the meatballs from sticking so much to your hands, and it'll be a little bit easier to form them. So let's make them about this smaller size.
Okay.
Just roll them around like that and pop them into our baking dish. All right, so we've got our last ball here, so we'll fit it all in here. It looks great. So now we're going to put these in the oven at 425 and cook them for about 15 minutes. Sometimes some ovens vary as far as their temperatures, but in 15 minutes we'll check, see how they are, and they should be ready then. All right, so those are in the oven, they're baking away. Now we're gonna make our sweet potato broccoli salad with peanut dressing. So if I can have you just move these over so we can make room for this. Now these are red skin sweet potatoes, they're also called yams. And these have been washed. We're not gonna peel them because actually in almost all fruits and vegetables, most of the vitamins are in the skin.
Gotcha.
The one thing you might notice is that young kids might not like to eat the skin.
Right.
So if you do have some pickier eaters at home, you might want to peel off the skin, but we're gonna leave them on today. And I like to leave them in nice big chunks. So if I can have you grab a pot of water for me, please. And what we're gonna do is put these in our water.
All right.
And these don't take very long to boil, so we're gonna boil these for about 5 minutes.
Oh,
actually about 4 minutes. And then we're gonna put our broccoli in for the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
Flowerettes. We're gonna kind of break that off too, because then everybody just comes off nice. So let's put these sweet potatoes on the stove and get them boiling. All right, so we're gonna set this aside for now, let the sweet potatoes cook because they're gonna take longer than the broccoli. So again, we're looking at about 4 minutes, letting the sweet potatoes cook. We'll check them to see if they're soft enough. And then we'll put the broccoli in for the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
So we'll set that aside and talk a little bit about the dressing here. Now again, the dressing is peanut butter. And I used an all-natural, smooth peanut butter. You can use any kind of peanut butter you do have at home. The one thing you want to remember is that if you're using like Skippy or Jif or any of those brands, they have sugar in it. So you might not want to use as much honey as the recipe calls for because they already are sweet. So it's peanut butter, ginger, garlic, soy sauce, rice wine vinegar, and a little bit of honey. Now, I whisked it in a bowl. You could also put it in a blender because that's kind of nice because then the chunks from the ginger and garlic get all smooth in there and the kids can't see it, but it tastes delicious. So we're gonna have that there ready for when the sweet potatoes and broccoli are done. And while all that's going, we're gonna do our pineapple strawberry skewers. So we have some lovely strawberries here that we washed and we cut them in half. And these are quite big. If you have smaller ones, you might not even need to cut them. And then we have a pineapple here, and I'm going to show you how to cut up a pineapple because I know a lot of people see this gorgeous fruit and it's a little daunting because it's pokey. So what we're going to do first is cut off the top, and then you cut off the bottom because that gives you a nice base to start with here. And then we're just going to cut down the sides like that. You really want to use a good sharp knife or a serrated knife. Serrated knives work great for this task also. The one thing you want to try to get out is these eyes, these little black parts, because those are going to be kind of tough. And then what you want to do is inside the pineapple there's a hard core in the middle. You can kind of see that dot on top here. So we're going to cut it in half. And then cut it in quarters. And cut it again like that. Now you can kind of see, you're just going to cut off that middle part there. Because that's where the core is. And try it once. Because you can feel where that hard part is.
It's still good though.
It is
really
still
sweet.
good. Yeah, but sometimes it depends on how large the pineapple is. The core might be a little harder. And then one thing is that kids like to do a lot is they like to make their own kind of kabobs. You might not want this pokey part on top, so you could just take a scissors or take a nail clippers and clip off that sharp part so kids aren't poking themselves when they're making the skewers. And I'm sure most people are familiar with how to make skewers, but again, this is something that when you're making dinner, you can have your kids make their own. Set the bowl of strawberries aside, set a bowl of pineapple aside, and they can make, you know, however they want. And a lot of kids like to do patterns, and so they could, so they could do 2 strawberry, 1 pineapple. They don't like strawberries as much, they can do all pineapples. So this is just a really simple, fun, and I like to call it dessert for kids. Because they think, oh, this is fun, it's sweet, it's dessert. And kids, if they grow up thinking that fruit is a treat and it's dessert, they're gonna hold on to that their whole life.
Kind of sticks with people.
Well, we're gonna wanna make a few more kabobs, but first let's check on the rest of our ingredients. I think